Welcome to episode 2 of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole. Here is your host, CSD Fantasy.
Hello, Fantasy Faithfuls, and welcome to episode 2 of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole. This is CSD Fantasy, and I'm your host, and I'm flanked by Nick Faber and Carlton Daniel. How y'all doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How about you?
I'm fantastic. Nick, how you doing?
Oh, fantastic, baby. Another great week of football. Can't wait to chat about it.
Awesome. Today we've got a jam-packed episode to get into, but feel free to interrupt at any point in the show. Since we have a live chat, we're here to serve y'all. But before we get into it, I would like to remind you to hit that like button. Please share this on social media to help us get the word out there. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Check out the Patreon page. We'll link down below for exclusive content and personal fantasy projections. And lastly, head over to csdfantasy.com for the latest waiver wire article, and tomorrow for the score projection and risk analysis for week 3. Later on this week here on the YouTube channel, there will be a head-to-head with Kenny Golladay versus Chris Godwin, so be sure to check that out, and don't miss the Start Sit live stream Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Carlton, you weren't here for episode 1, so tell us a little bit about yourself. For instance, what team do you root for and why they will not make the playoffs this year?
That was smooth. I like that. So definitely was here in spirit, but Carlton from Atlanta, as you can see, I'm repping the Falcons, but that's not my team. As Carl alluded to, my team is a Buffalo Bills, diehard Buffalo Bill fan. Pride of Western New York there. So I'm here to represent for Josh Allen and the gang a little bit, but I'm going to be as fair as I can. So excited to join CSD today, and excited to have a little back and forth here with Nick and Carl.
Fantastic. Nick, you're a regular on the channel, so people recognize your face, but how can they find you and your other content? Oh, I love the mustache.
Follow me at Nick Faber NFL on Twitter. I'm doing this podcast. I'm hosting RZR Fantasy Football Podcast, the Daily Blitz Podcast, doing it all, podcasting all the time. So if you like to hear my voice, you definitely can. There's no shortage of it. But yeah, I'm ecstatic for this. Real quick, Kenny Golladay, Chris Godwin. It's pretty tough not to say Kenny Golladay, right? But truly, Chris Godwin's probably going to be the guy out of those two, in my opinion.
We'll see. We'll see. There'll be a lot of back and forth between that, I bet. I know I've been a pretty big Kenny Golladay fan in the past, while also trying to stay unbiased. That's usually a difficult thing. But before we get any further in the show, I would like to welcome Kyle G and MGT0831 to the chat. So happy to have you on board. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll interrupt the show. And we actually have one before we get into the first topic of the day from Kyle G.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're starting off real quick today. Awesome, Kyle. Do I pick up Kyle Allen, I'm guessing Josh Allen, or Mason Rudolph?
Kyle Allen, the backup for Cam, right?
No,
Correct me if I'm
missing.
wrong.
Yeah, it's Kyle Allen and Mason Rudolph. It's not Josh Allen. That would have been way too easy. Way too easy. Don't get out, Carlton. Don't get out.
I was glad. Don't put him in that category right there. Come on. No.
I just wanted to mess with you a little bit right there and put Mason Rudolph with Josh Allen.
You got me going, man.
I know. But, Nick, what do you think? Kyle Allen, Mason Rudolph.
I mean, Mason Rudolph. Wait, what was the question? Are we adding him? Is that what the question is?
Do I pick up Kyle Allen or Mason Rudolph?
Is it if it's super flex? Yeah, I mean, I'll be going after Mason Rudolph. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be a fantasy quarterback that relevant enough with Mike Tomlin. If we're talking single quarterback redraft, no. I mean, no. Why? No. Unless you had Drew Brees, unless those are the best two quarterbacks. If Andy Dalton's out there, you're going after him. If Josh Allen's out there, you're going after him. I mean, but if it's super flex, yeah, you're going after Mason Rudolph instead of Kyle Allen.
Yeah, even in super flex, I think you're going to have weeks where none of them score more than. He says, I need to stash one for a 2-quarterback league on my bench. Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense. It has to be a 2-quarterback league. So I was going to get to that because I think even in a super flex league, you're going to have a difficult time trying to figure out who to start with any of them week in and week out. You might as well start Robbie Anderson randomly with freaking what's his name, Falk, throwing him the ball.
Luke Falk, baby. It's Luke Falk season. Get ready.
Luke Falk season. I'm ready for it.
I think he might be the guy to pick up actually, to stash on a 2-quarterback league, at least for a few, before he gets back. They say week 5, but I've had freaking mono, and it's 4 weeks.
But you wouldn't take him over Mason Rudolph, would you? Mason Rudolph.
No, not over Mason Rudolph. Over Kyle Allen.
He's solidified as that quarterback,
Yeah.
Over Kyle Allen, I would.
Yeah, agreed. I would agree with that too.
I think I'm liking that Rudolph and James Washington combo too. I mean, that goes back to college. So I think that there's some ammo there where he might have a couple weeks where he surprises you, but over those others, sure.
And if you look at, do I have it right in front of me? James Washington's air yards so far throughout the first 2 games is one of the top of the receivers there are, like top 10-ish, if I'm not mistaken. I believe 100. I'm going off the top of my head. I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I think it's 199 air yards so far. So the James Washington combo with Mason Rudolph could be a phenomenal, especially if you're playing daily fantasy. If you're playing daily fantasy and that you get Pittsburgh going up against a Bengals defense that we've seen just let everyone and anyone light them up, that's a good DFS play.
Too bad they're not playing themselves.
Pittsburgh's got a good defense. They just got Minka, bro.
Minka changed everything.
Everything though, everything, because he did not for the Dolphins.
Well, it's pretty tough to play on a team that doesn't want you to win.
Yeah, he was one
that is true. That is true. But that was Kyle's first question. Thank you so much. And then we have some more people joining in the chat straight up. So before we get into today's topics, Kevin Garcia, welcome to the show. So happy to have you on board. Shane, always a pleasure to see your name pop up. Let's start with Kevin's question. Should I take Daniel Jones or Kirk Cousins? Appreciate it.
Ooh, I like that question.
I actually have. This is fun because our topic today was going to be quarterbacks, so it's freaking awesome that we get quarterbacks questions right on top of the show. But for me, Kirk Cousins has had 2 terrible weeks, statistically speaking, which is what I do. He will not be as terrible moving forward. He will still be usable for 8 weeks, and if you can get 2 of his worst weeks out the way to start the season, it's the same with like Mike Evans. I'm not trying to trade away Mike Evans now. Statistically, he should bounce back, and I'm very confident that both will. But it's not like I'm starting Kirk Cousins over Dak Prescott this week with statistics in my back. But over Daniel Jones, I'm definitely doing it, especially with the players on the outside for Cousins. Carlton, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Cousins fan, right? But looking at that Giants game, I really don't think Eli was a problem. I think there's a lot going on there with the offensive line. I know they have a lot of receivers out, but if I'm looking season-long projection, I just trust I'm trusting Kirk Cousins in that offense. I'm trusting Diggs. I'm trusting Thielen. I think sooner or later they're going to pick it together. I know they've kind of leaned a little more on the running game with Dalvin Cook, so that's kind of limiting his numbers. But I'm trusting Cousins here for sure.
Nick, what do you think about this one from Shane? Would you trade Austin Hooper for Terry McLaurin, if I pronounced that correctly? I've struggled with pronouncing his name.
Okay, so the big question, the big factor into that question, yes, I want me Terry McLaurin. If someone's gonna accept Austin Hooper for Terry McLaurin, damn right I'm gonna make that trade all day, every day. However, if the next best tight end available, if you're in a tight end premium league and people have tight end stash up, and the next best tight end you're looking at Jason Witten or you're looking at Mike Gesicki and these guys that aren't going to produce, or Jordan Akins,
not Jason Witten not going to produce playing the freaking
Jason Witten's going to produce this
red zone targets
this week, especially start Jason Witten this week. But moving forward, Jason Witten is he's not a consistent tight end, where Austin Hooper is going to be a consistent tight end. He's going to see targets from Matt Ryan day in and day out. So if you have available tight ends, or if you have another tight end that you can supplement for Austin Hooper, you absolutely want to trade him away for Terry McLaurin. If you're reversing this, if you're saying you want to get Austin Hooper for Terry McLaurin, I'm holding on to Terry.
Yeah, definitely. And a tight end I would like to stash on my team would, if Darnold can come back, it would be Herndon. Carlton, you and I have had a lot of discussion on Herndon offline, and I'm a big fan of his. Shane says he has Waller and Andrews on his bench. Yes, trade away Austin Hooper.
Yes.
Don't even think about it. Just trade
Darren Waller, Tyrell Williams is out 1 to 3 weeks. Darren Waller is going to see 75 targets.
Oh,
because they're not going to be able to run the ball because Josh Jacobs might not be playing. Actually, Jacobs probably will play, but I'm just saying.
It's
trade
confirmed
him
he's
away,
out. It's confirmed Williams is out.
1 to 3 weeks.
Oh no.
That changed us a little bit.
I've
not read that full news report.
I guess maybe. I guess I don't have the doctor. Correct me if I am wrong, but
if you're coming with some breaking news right now, I mean, we need to make a big deal about this. Like, I didn't know.
News. According to my sources, which is some dude I must have read an article about a couple days ago. According to that source, it seems like he might be out 1 to 3 weeks, but maybe I'm wrong.
That news source is a perfect segment into our next topic. The news rundown here on the Fantasy Rabbit Hole, and the first guy I would like to talk to, it broke earlier today that Melvin Gordon has said he will play in 2019. It will not be a holdout. He will play on a team. He didn't specify which team. We talked about him a little bit last week. Austin Eckler has produced more over 2 weeks than Melvin Gordon ever have in fantasy over 2 weeks, which I'm excited about as an Austin Eckler truther from last year. But Melvin Gordon, if he comes back on the Chargers, how does that impact Austin Eckler's value, and where would you rank Gordon moving forward? Nick, would you like to start?
Yeah, and I talked about this yesterday on a Daily Blitz pod. It's just it was a matter of time for Melvin Gordon to come back. Like, Melvin Gordon was coming back there. He wouldn't forego his free agency season or to be allowed to go into free agency just to hold out all year. He's going to be back by week 8, I believe it is. Whether that's with the Chargers or not, I don't know. However, I said yesterday that I'm selling high on Austin Eckler right now. You will never get a better value than he is right now. Justin Jackson looks good. He had a touchdown run of 22 yards called back last game. I'm telling you, Justin Jackson's going to make a little bit more of an impact moving forward, especially without Hunter Henry and with Phillip Rivers kind of looking like, Father Time's caught up with him. I hate to say it, but because of that, it's going to move Austin Eckler down into the role that he was with Melvin Gordon. So if Melvin Gordon doesn't even come back, I'm still selling high on Eckler right now because you can get so much for him because the running back position seems so scarce right now. But it's because people are overreacting. It's early in the fantasy season, and teams that are 0-2 are desperately clinging to anyone who's above anyone else and when it comes to fantasy rankings right now. So I'm selling high on Austin Eckler. I think Gordon's going to be just fine.
And Michael Gallup was announced that he's having a meniscus tear. That surgery has been improved a lot over the last 10 years since I had my surgery. And what I can tell, they're saying he's going to be gone for 2 to 4 weeks. Who are you picking up, Carlton, instead of Michael Gallup? I've been looking to Terry McLaurin, of course, but he's starting to disappear on the waivers. I am looking at Devin Smith and Randall Cobb just to fill a 1-week situation just because of that Dolphins defense. Do you have any other player in mind to replace Michael Gallup in deeper leagues?
I got a couple in mind here. Okay, so that Dolphin matchup is juicy, right? I'm looking at Devin Smith. I'm looking at Randall Cobb. It's hard not to eat off of that plate of Miami. But I haven't seen it, right? Devin Smith, how long has he been in the league? He was a first-round pick for the Jets way back when. It could have just been a 1-week thing where the system works out. My little waiver wire pickup here, I'm wearing the shirt, right? It's not Julio. You're not going to find him on the waiver wire. But this past Sunday, right, I wish.
Breaking news, Julio is released in every fantasy league.
Available in 78% of leagues right now. Go get it. No, I actually went to the game this past Sunday when the Eagles played the Falcons, and it was an amazing game. Everybody saw it. It was a great game. There was a guy that stood out a little bit for all the wrong reasons for Eagles fans, I'm sure. But Nelson Aguilar, he's I know he's a little butterfingers out there, but this guy gets volume. He gets numbers. He gets looked at. Wentz number one guy is always Ertz, right? But you got Deshaun Jackson out. We got Alshon Jeffrey probably out again. These guys are known for being a little banged up throughout the year. I see Aguilar stepping in as that guy who Wentz likes to push the ball to. So I'm really high on him getting a lot of value, especially I know we got a game coming up here where the Lions, I know you're from Detroit, Nick. I don't want to really hate on the Lions too much here. But the defense looks improved, right? Matt Patricia's doing a good job. doing a good job. But if you look at their number of receivers that they've gone up against, they've been giving up yards. Keenan Allen went for about 100 yards. Larry Fitzgerald went for a little over 100 yards, I believe. And this past week against the Falcons, Aguilar went for about 107 and a touchdown, right? I see him carrying that over again to Detroit. I see him coming up big this week until they come back from injury. I'm going high on Nelson Aguilar right now.
I think that's a really smart pick too, because he's not owned in that many leagues. I've never been a huge fan of his, but I can see his target share bumping up. I was going to bring the conversation over to Deshaun Jackson after here, so that's pretty perfect that we touched on that as well. And I think we pretty much covered that.
Well, I want to jump in real quick. I'll tell you what, JJ Arcega-Whiteside getting the second most A-dot yards when it comes to A-dot being the average distance of target, right behind Will Fuller. Right behind. So Arcega-Whiteside might not be the PPR like go-to guy like Aguilar. Like I love me some Nelson this week, unless Darius is over him. If Slay's gonna cover Aguilar because we are out Jeffrey, out Deshaun, I honestly will then kind of avert my attention to the second wide receiver, JJ, as we all like to say, because Aguilar, like Darius Slay, sure Darius Slay let Keenan Allen not get 100 yards, but get 8 receptions and have a couple penalties against him. The fact of the matter is Darius Slay is still phenomenal, and Keenan Allen is just underappreciated. Nelson Aguilar is not underappreciated. Slay will literally tear him apart. 1 reception, in my opinion. This week, I think moving forward, if Djax and Alshon are out, give me the guy who's not going up against Darius Slay.
But will Slay actually? Would they actually
shadow?
Yeah, because they shouldn't be
I don't
that
know,
afraid
but
of
I
him.
have to assume, like, I don't know. He did basically shadow Keenan. Like, he didn't, but he did. I think that's how it's going to be for Nelson, and they're going to force Carson to throw the ball to Ertz because there's no Goddard and or J-Jaw. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
Let's get on with a couple of shout-outs and questions here, because they've been coming in hot here on the,
Keep them coming.
The channel.
Keep them coming.
Let's go back to this tight end just to see what we have. No, that was Kyle. Let's go back. That was Shane that asked about Andrews and Waller. Let's shout out Cox, who joined the stream.
Oh my God,
that's pretty dope.
I'm retiring.
I mean,
this makes this weird, right?
Oh, yeah, man. That's a little weird.
Oh God, sorry about that.
And then and then I got Cowboys hat on. You got Julio for everybody who's just listening.
It's all bad for the Eagles.
But Fletcher Cox says, what if I need wide receiver help? Other running backs are Cook and Montgomery, Aaron Jones and Singletary for OBJ. Is that a fair trade? He needs wide receiver help. And then he has Cook and Montgomery. I'm going to step in on that and say that I would do that just because if you need wide receiver help, that's such a huge boost.
Who are the receivers like that he has? Like, what is the receiver help he needs, real quick?
If
he's listening,
Fletcher Cox does not say what receivers he has right now, but he says he needs wide receiver help.
Right.
So I'm assuming he's not too strong on that side. And Cook and Montgomery, I feel good about Montgomery. I think he's going to move into a bigger role. Cook is just balling out right now, so I'm cool with that. Jones just had a massive game. His value will not be higher than what it is now for a trade. So if you and Singletary looks a little hurt, even though I like him as well. But if you can make that trade and have all of a sudden OBJ come in and be your number 1 wide receiver because you're lacking in that department, I wouldn't mind that trade at all. We have Maui Bro Kai Oi join us. Yeah, buddy, he is one of our staples here on CSD Fantasy's YouTube channel. First time for the season, Maui. So happy to see your name. And he has a really nice comment I wanted to read to both y'all. I'm loving the split screen animation slides. Nowhere else, folks. This is top flight live streaming right here.
Top flight.
Thank you, Maui, so much. He also says we're about to go viral. Thank you so much, Maui. I always appreciate you coming on the channel. You're always a delight and so fun to interact with week in and week out. I know you leave comments, and it's been fantastic during the off season have you join here on the channel. To move over with to another question though, Kyle G asked about if Herndon is available, should I pick him up? And I've been the Herndon truther, but with Darnold out, I think he's gonna stay on the waiver wire. I think you can hold on with him a little bit. before you have to pick him up, just because nobody is going to do so right now with Darnold out with mono. If he can come back in a couple of weeks, you can pick up Herndon a week or two before Darnold come back, but I can't see Falk just crushing it with Herndon after week 4 when he gets back. Kevin, also thank you so much for appreciating the channel. You're the man. He says great channel.
Real quick, if you are going to get Herndon, I think next week's the week to get him. That'll be his last week of the suspension. And I'm going to disagree. I think Luke Falk will need his safety net because once they just isolate Robbie Anderson, there is nothing else. Like Quincy Enunwa, I mean Jamison Crowder, but I'm the biggest. I can't get behind Jamison Crowder. So for me, I think Herndon is going to still be just as fantasy relevant with Luke Falk, with Jeff George, Brett Favre. It doesn't matter.
Jeff George.
That's
just
crazy.
That was a good one.
Get Herndon. Get Herndon next week. Not this week though.
I'm not touching anybody on that Jets offense, man. Barely even touching Le'Veon, to be honest with you. It's tough right now. Can we talk about mono though for a second? Come on, is that
touch
not
on that? You have first-hand experience with that, Carlton, as do I. But yeah,
come on now. Don't tell everybody that. I don't know who's watching this, but yeah, I did. It was college. Weird things happened.
You dogs, my God.
Honestly, pretty much everybody I know has had mono at one time.
I am completely out of the loop then. My God, I'm going to have to go get some mono. I want to be part of this club.
No, freak, you don't.
No, I don't.
Nothing fun about that at all. As close to death as you can get.
Yeah, freak.
I would rather
right
have mono
after
than
my
a
knee
kidney
surgery,
stone,
too.
probably.
What do you say, Nick?
I said I'd rather have mono than a kidney stone, I bet. I've never had either.
No.
Nah,
you don't.
When that's clean and larges, I'm telling you, it's nothing
You get
fun
that
about
kidney
it.
stone out the body and
okay.
you're done. Mono just keeps on chugging.
Thank you over and over.
Hopefully I never get that. Anyways,
A month and a
that's
half of agony and pain. And that's a perfect transition, agony and pain, into our next segment, which is the standout performance of week 2. And I'm gonna start this one with a player that stood out to me, and this is gonna be a weird one because he's stood up so many times, but he's usually not one to have a good week followed by a decent week. He's usually 2 great weeks followed by a shit storm of terrible weeks, and it's Derrick Henry. And I gave him a grade of D heading into this year, and I see something happen with the stream right now, so I'm gonna hit it over to Nick real quick when I fix that, and then I get back to Derrick Henry later on.
What's going? Oh my gosh, the troubles. I tell you. Let me jump in. Then we'll do player that stood out, and it's so easy to pick so many of these guys, but for me, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo was a guy that we saw him in the preseason and get laughed around. People were ready to start Nick Mullins over him. They did not want anything to do with Garoppolo. He shouldn't be leading a San Francisco team that's now 2-0 behind Jimmy Garoppolo, playing like the guy that they paid him to be. Now, I understand that he went up against a pretty crappy defense, but the fact of the matter is Jimmy Garoppolo didn't look like a college quarterback. He looked like a professional quarterback. He knew what he was doing. And to everyone who was just scared away from Garoppolo when it comes to drafting, he was one of my favorite steals with the last pick. If you weren't going to draft a quarterback all year or all draft and waited to the last pick, Garoppolo was there. And you knew Garoppolo in this Kyle Shanahan offense was going to strive. They have a 3-headed running back monster that only helps out Garoppolo. Deebo Samuel stepping up like a beast. Marquise Goodwin literally won $1 million to be the fastest player in the NFL of all the 12, 16 people that went to that race. Anyways, he's freaking fast if you didn't know. So I'm all about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I loved the week he gave us against Cincinnati.
What happened? Okay, I'm a Dante Pettis truther. Where is he?
Oh my gosh, I actually dropped him in a league
He's
now.
out there. If you look at his snap share, he's out there. He's out there for like 80% of the game.
Yeah. But
Garoppolo just refuses to throw to him. Dante Pettis had more passes than he did reception.
Reception. I'm a huge fan of his. He looked amazing. His his wide receiver trends and targeting trends remind me of Antonio Brown. Like, not the skill set, but where he gets targeted on the field, where he's most dynamic on the field. If you watch any of my videos here on YouTube, you know I break down the field. It reminds me of Antonio Brown, and it's just he's not getting targets. And I cannot, for the life of me, figure out.
We saw the signs leading into the season, and I just didn't want to believe it.
Where is Jeff Driscoll? Put Jeff back in the lineup.
He'll find him, right?
Beat hard. Where is Beat hard?
I
I think we've had this discussion too, Nick, in the past. Beat hard.
Oh my God.
Beat hard. I'm nervous it's going to get worse too when Jalen Hurd comes back, man. I think he's going to demand some targets too himself. So
definitely. He looked,
that 49ers team is pretty stacked. They're stacked. They got some options there.
Defense is no joke either.
No. Oh, secondary looks great. Keelan Witherspoon, Richard Sherman's back in form. They look tough. They're going to be a good team.
Before we get back to Derrick Henry, now the stream is messing up again, putting y'all names out there. So you can see what Carlton's full name is.
Yes.
Perfect. Who do you want to target on the waiver wire, Carlton, this week?
Outside of Nelson Aguilar.
Outside. You already made your pick. You have to do another one.
So let's get a little creative. I got to be a homer. I got to do it. I'm going to rewind time here. I'm going to go with Old Faithful. It's not the sexy pick, but Frank Gore, man.
Ooh.
Listen here. If you're really desperate for running back help, which a lot of people are come week 2, you can do a lot worse than Frank Gore against the Bengals' porous defense, who they lack a little toughness there without Burfict. You got Singletary possibly out. And the Bills, I'm just telling you, they look good on offense, man. We really do. Nobody circles the wagons like these guys.
How many interceptions was it week 1?
We don't worry about that. That's not important. Important. We got the W. That's all that matters, right? He rebounded. But Frank Gore was a big part of that offense last week. They fed this guy 19 carries at 60 years old is ridiculous. He's really running through the whole hard. I saw his touchdown. He ran over this guy, and it looked like it was Miami Frank Gore again. It's not a fun pick you want to hear. It's not going to get you excited. You're not going to get that 20, 30 points a week. But you're going to get a consistent 12, maybe 15 on a good week. But you can do worse than that in the flex play. And I think I like that consistency versus a Joe Mixon who's maybe, really crapping the bed and hurting people right there. I want to roll with that Frank Gore pick right there. Let Josh Allen feed him. Let him get him down the field, get him red zone targets, give him the ball, punch it in.
Little Frank Gore fun fact. Frank Gore is about to retire before this year until his son, Frank Gore Jr., convinced him to stay.
And they're going to play together. I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Feeling it. 3 more years? We can do it. Just not in Buffalo. I think I'm done with Frank Gore, honestly. Like, after this year, we're good.
I hope he plays, just not on my team.
Yeah, just not on my team. This week, though, I'm picking him. He's
definitely against Cincy. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I'm feeling Frank Gore. Right
DFS for sure. If you're looking at FanDuel and he's looking on
he's gonna be cheap.
3,200. You jump on him. You know what I mean? For sure.
Yeah. And I actually messed up a little bit. I was supposed to ask you about the play that stood out and not the waiver wire, so you were completely right, Colton. I sold you out.
Hey, man.
Under the bus, like here.
I went for I think I sold out going for the hometown team there.
No, you did good. But back to Derrick Henry real quick before we move over to our next segment. I think if you look back at last year, he had the 47.8 points and then the 29 and then 15. That was the best streak he's ever had. And then he had 10 games flanking those 3 amazing ones. He started this year with 27.9 and 15.3. And that's something that intrigues me. That he didn't do 27.9 and 4. Last year he started with 3.1, 5.6, and 5.7. I can go on. And this is how it's been. His first year was 25.1 in one game. Next one it was 4.9. He had a 15 followed by a 6, a 20 followed by a 2. Is this finally a stable Derrick Henry we're seeing? And if that's the case, I'm very impressed with him from this week. I did not expect him to run that well 2 weeks in a row. I've been extremely down on him ever since he got in the league. I've not been excited to draft him ever. I haven't drafted him ever as far as I know. And now he's going against Jacksonville tomorrow night, and I have him predicted freaking 18.3 points with a floor of 12.3. I think he's going to be amazing. I was very impressed with him doing well 2 weeks in a row. I know you can't pick him up, but he was a player that stood out to me. I wasn't expecting him to be that good. We have some more questions coming in, though. I'm going to give some shout-outs. I answered a question here, too, but we got a question from Maui. But first, shout-out Daniel Roman. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you on board. AJ Brody, awesome to see you. Welcome.
AJ.
And Sound Resmi, my man, welcome. So happy to have all of you here tonight. We have a good crew in the chat, and I'll try to interrupt our conversation as much as possible to get these questions in. So the question from Maui is, who is the running back to roster from Kansas City in PPR and Standard?
I like this question.
Let's go, Carlton. Shoot.
I like this. So one of my sleeper picks this week. I mean, he's projected 1 point. He's barely owned. Darwin Thompson. I'm sorry. Did I mess his name up there? Darwin Thompson? That's right. Remember that name. He's going to be a guy that you're going to love and look back on. He might not have the Kareem Hunt effect, but I could see him having a Tariq Cohen type effect on that offense, okay? I see LaShawn McCoy. He's getting banged up. He's later in his career. I saw that coming a long time ago. His hamstring's going to pull. He might miss some time. Williams is good. He's good. He's a solid back, but he doesn't give you that punch that Mahomes and Andy Reid likes. Darwin Thompson is exciting. If you watch him in the preseason, this guy not only will he run through you, he's gonna juke, he's gonna get out there, he's gonna get in space, he's gonna be exciting to watch. And I feel like the fans are waiting for him to do something. And I really feel like with both of those guys banged up this week, it's possible that he sees a lot more action. And if he gets a chance, I can see him really taking over that market share there, and at least getting mixed in on third down. But in the PPR, I'm really liking his longevity this season. I think he's gonna be the standout back.
Nick, what do you think? This question from Daniel Roman: should Edelman be on the trade block?
Ooh.
I don't know what you're gonna get for him, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to trade him away. It depends on what kind of like return you're gonna get, but I'll put him on the block. There's absolutely no question about it. I am trying to dish Edelman for someone who might have a little bit more upside. I'm trying to rack my brain right now, see if I can whip it up on my computer and install just enough time.
Tyler Boyd? Would you trade him for
Tyler Boyd? I'm trading Julian for Tyler Boyd. There we go. Throw some names out. Yes, I'm trading for Tyler.
Let's do our... I should have made some graphics for this. We should call it like the Nick pick or something. That's actually an awesome
Nick
name.
pick.
Oh,
Yeah. And we're going to get Carlton to sing the intro. People be ready for that for next week.
Nick's
So
big
let's do
pick.
the segment Nick pick. And would you trade Julian Edelman for Tyler Boyd? You said yes. Would you do it for DK Metcalf?
Crap, that's a good question.
Say yes, Nick.
Carlton saying yes. Nick saying...
Right, like Edelman with Antonio Brown there and Gordon there, I just can't buy into the volume, and he's just a little bit older, so I can't expect big plays out of him. So I'm going to definitely take DK Metcalf.
Me too. So that's 3-0. What do you think about Marquise Goodwin?
I'd rather have Julian Edelman.
Carlton?
Edelman or Jarvis Landry?
Ooh.
I like Juice. I like Juice a lot. I would probably take Juice in PPR. Juice. I'd take Juice. Yeah.
I'm taking Landry as well.
Yeah, I think so. And I've been tough on him this year, but I think he picks it up. He'll figure it out.
I hope that it's not even about Juice anymore. It's about Baker's got to learn how to play quarterback again. He's
wrong with that, man. Yeah, they're playing backyard football.
The only reason he had somewhat fantasy relevant numbers, like that's it. It wasn't because Baker threw OBJ open. Like OBJ had to make a brilliant catches, brilliant yard after catches. Like it was all OBJ.
AJ Brody asks, I need a running back and a flex. We have Galladay, Chris Carson, James Conner. Who am I starting in PPR? I'm going to answer that one offline to get my rankings up on my screen. So let's toss another one over to Carlton. Josh Allen, rest of the season. So Carlton, you can hype him up, and then Nick, be sure to bring him down when I get the answer for AJ Brody here in the chat as well.
There's one thing that you can't bring me down on. That's Josh Allen. This is the pride and joy of Western New York, of Wyoming. I wish I had my glasses on so I could do a little TO. That's my quarterback, man. That's my guy, right? That's my quarterback, man. That's my guy. Now, Josh Allen, we all know the exciting plays. We know the hurdles. We know he can run it. We know he can chuck it deep. We know he's a cannon. What I'm most impressed with, he's working that intermediate to short route this year. He's looking accurate. offensive coordinators letting him have the reins a little bit. We got Cole Beasley, John Brown getting off a little bit. I'm really, really high. So high, this might sound crazy. Don't take me off the show for this, but I actually traded Deshaun Watson with Josh Allen as my new starter. Not for him.
Who'd you get in return?
So my team was doing a little bad. I got Mark Ingram. I got DK Metcalf and James Washington.
Oh, that was that trade. Oh, I remember. I was looking at it. I was fine with it, seeing your team. In context, it made sense.
It really worked out. It did. Like, I just need Josh Allen to give me that consistent 21, 22 a week. I know, Deshaun's going to flash, obviously, but I'm really high on the way the offense is centered around Josh Allen. He's such a big part of that offense as far as running and passing. I really don't see in the schedule too. You got to look at the weakness of schedule. Like, there's a lot of teams coming up on that schedule between outside of the Titans. We got the Bengals, Dolphins twice a year, Jets again. Like, he's gonna get his numbers up there, and he might not look great on the stat sheet like week 1 where he threw 2 picks, fumbled twice, still put up 23 points. He's gonna look good. So last year I believe he ended maybe top 10. Was it last 4 or 5 weeks? Like, you sleeping on him, Nick. I'm telling you, this is the year of the Allen era, man. It's happening.
I mean, I don't know about that, but I don't mind Josh Allen. Does lead the league, tied with Deshaun Watson with 2 rushing touchdowns. That's just huge value. That's 6 points right there instead of 4. So, I like Josh Allen. What was the question? I missed the question.
It was just thoughts on Josh Allen rest of the season.
Like,
but let's do some shout-outs again to Agent. Welcome to the show. So happy to have you on board as always. Rock out. So nice to see you. And was it one more? No, that was the 2 ones who joined right now. And it was a question from Rockout straight up. Would you trade Cooper Kupp for Marlon Mack? And I would say I would trade away Cooper Kupp for Marlon Mack. I have Mack projected for 4 more points this week with an easier schedule. That showed up on the stream, Carlton. And I have Mack for a higher floor, higher ceiling, lower bust chance, a lower boom chance though. He has an easier opponent this week and an easier schedule moving forward, the 17th easiest schedule, while Cooper Kupp has the 24th most difficult schedule. No, the easiest schedule, so that would be the, 9th most difficult schedule? Either way, I would trade away Cooper Kupp for Marlon Mack right now. What are your thoughts about that, Nick?
I mean, context is everything, but just putting the 2 side by side.
He says, my bad, I got context here. My running back 2 are bad. I got Williams from KC and Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson and Devin Singletary, and RB1 is Zeke. My wide receivers are DeAndre Hopkins, Cooper Kupp, Sanders, Amari Cooper, Tyler Williams, and Sterling Shepard.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would do that trade.
You're going to have to trade him, but I do like me some Cooper Kupp, especially if you're playing in PPR league. It's tough to trade away Cooper. Do you have to start 2 running? If you have to start 2 running backs, you need Marlon Mack on your team.
Yeah.
If you can only start one running back and end up starting 4 receivers, then I'm keeping Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, because if you're only starting 3 receivers, you can always go Hopkins, Murray, and Sanders, and then you have Tyrell when he comes back, and you're going to be set in PPR with that and in standard, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm actually really big on Sanders too this year. He's turning back time. 13 targets last week from Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco likes his one receiver, so
Definitely.
It's looking good, man.
It's like
Emmanuel's robotic, dude. He came back from an injury that was uncomebackable, and he has come back.
He looks better almost than he did before he had the injury. It's weird.
Uncomebackable.
Yeah.
Putting it in the chat.
I looked it up, and that is a word, yeah.
And he looked it up, and the picture was Emmanuel Sanders. Crazy.
Uncomebackable. Yep.
Uncomebackable. That's brilliant, dude. No, but definitely, and I love Sanders. And it was a reason I picked him up in 2 of my drafts this year. You're saying in the league you and I are in, Carlton, where I'm gonna crush you this weekend.
You wish. Come on now. Do we need to talk about your record on there? Come on, let's talk.
It's only 1-1. It's only 1-1. They know it. They know it. I talked about it last week that I was so upset about that freaking Harrison Butker. We got the last question before we hit our last 2 topics. Well, it's a quick topic and then our major topic for this episode. So it's Tariq Cohen or Duke Johnson. I need some context with that, Agent. So please put if it's PPR and if you're referring to rest of season or if you're just referring to week 3. In the meantime, here is a word from our sponsor. So, tired of losing on DFS salary cap sites? With our friends at PrizePicks, you can turn that fantasy sports knowledge into cold hard cash. No sharks, no endless hours of research. It's just you against the projections. Just choose over under correctly on players' fantasy point productions to win. Used promo code CSD. New members who sign up and make their first deposit get free 2-pick entries to win $25 and 25% match on their first deposit, instant cash up to $1,000.
That's good.
PrizePicks is really daily fantasy simplified. Our last topic, we have one of these super nice intros that I've done again, and it's our weekly topic. So our weekly topic was going to be quarterbacks, and we're going to stick with that as we've had a lot happen to the quarterback position over the last couple of days. We had Drew Brees go down with a thumb injury, Big Ben being out for the season, Josh Allen stepping up and showing that he can be viable in fantasy, not just high spikes and low. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Carlton.
He knows.
I'm just putting in chugs. Another one. It's fun. The people, before I get into the last two names, I wanted to mention the two quarterbacks I featured on the waiver wire article yesterday was Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen.
Look at us.
And Carlton's boys living large.
Never go wrong with those two, man.
Not
That's right.
Carlton, would you rather have Josh Allen or Matt Stafford as your fantasy quarterback?
Ooh. That's a good one.
Won't hurt my feelings regardless, but just curious.
I'm going to be honest. Stafford, he's hurt me in the past, so I have a little personal thing against him there. So I'm going Josh Allen for sure on that one.
Right on.
All fandom out of it. I
Right.
think, I'm going Big J.
Big
Can that be a thing? Is that not? I don't think that's a thing.
I'm
J.
going Josh. I'm
making
going
it.
Josh Allen in fantasy too.
Yeah.
Y'all are high out of your mind. Stop smoking the crack.
Come on now.
No,
Matt-
moving forward, I have Josh Allen over Matthew Stafford in fantasy for real. I think.
Is Hawkinson a 1 week wonder, by the way?
He's definitely not going to eclipse like 1,000 yards or anything. He might be able to match Evan Ingram's 750 yards as a rookie tight end, but I mean, rookie tight ends don't. I mean,
Yeah. Never.
you know what I mean? Like
Never.
that week was a 1 week, like a rarity in my opinion. We might see a few more of that, but that's not. We're not going to see 100 yards
I
plus
think
every single.
Waller is going to have more receptions.
Yeah, I can see. That. Yeah.
Definitely. They're
Hawkinson
gonna force.
might have more touchdowns.
What?
Hawkinson might have more touchdowns than Waller, but I think Waller's going to have more yards and receptions.
I think that's just for the simple fact that the Raiders' offense will never be in the red zone.
Yeah,
where
that's
Detroit
a
might.
huge part of it. A huge part of it.
They're playing between the 20s, man.
And you actually have a quarterback that throws touchdown on one team.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to catch AJ Brody here. Any updates, Carson or Connor in PPR? I'm going Carson all day against Connor in PPR. Any objections on that one?
Chris Carson versus James Conner.
Yes, sir.
I mean, Rashad Penny looked better than Chris Carson, didn't he? Seattle goes up against who?
New Orleans at home versus San Francisco away for James Conner.
I don't like the matchup for Connor, but
Yeah.
Connor, anytime Connor gets over 20 touches, he's going to put up the points. And I think with Rudolph in there, I think they're going to really feature him a lot more. So I got to go Connor over Carson.
But are they
That's
going
so
to
tough.
are they going
It's
to
a tough-
be able to keep up with San Francisco? If you keep
Yes. Pittsburgh's defense is way better than you're giving them credit for. San
Minka.
Francisco is not going to run up 40 points. on them.
Minka.
I don't know. I might be a little too low on the Steelers right now. Their defense, I'm just not excited.
I would if James Conner plays, I'm starting James Conner. You drafted him in the first round or second round for a reason. But if obviously like he doesn't play, then I'm probably going to start Chris Carson over him.
I would not. I like that one. That was good. I have no faith in Chris Carson for some reason. I don't know. It's just
I don't
me.
get it.
I can't play him over.
I'm,
James Conner was my saving grace last year. I got to ride with him.
and I'm going against the two of you. And since my picture is in the middle here in the stream, my opinion is twice as important.
You would.
One day, maybe we'll be in the middle.
We're gonna get this formula right. Which way am I, left or right? Which way? Do I look this way?
I'm pointing left, so you're. I don't know. I don't
Like
know.
the Brady Bunch over here. Dun, 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 dun.
This is quality content.
Quality,
Especially
H2O,
if you
baby.
watch this in demand, like on demand afterwards, and you just have it on like working or trying to listen to the show, and then we start doing stuff with our heads, and you're like, I don't get this. This is not
What
good
are they
audio.
talking about?
It's a rabbit hole, man, for a reason.
That-
But let's get back to the quarterback.
So true. Back to the quarterback. So the other quarterback. Oh, we really did go down the rabbit hole, and that's why the show is named the way it is. Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins, who've been terrible. We touched on him earlier, so we can scratch him. And if we have time, we only have 13 minutes left of this show. I wanted to get your opinions if these two have joined the superstar club in Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson. But Drew Brees is out. How does that impact somebody like, damn it, here comes the joke. Wrong. There we go. We're back again. Somebody like Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. Carlton, what do you think about Kamara?
Yeah. So Kamara, you saw it. He struggled when Teddy Bridgewater came in there, but I'm gonna steal one of Nick's words here. I think it's uncomebackable when Breeze is gone. The only thing I think that can come back from it is Michael Thomas. I think he's a matchup breaker. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. It doesn't matter who he's going against. He's gonna eat. He's a big dog. He's gonna get his targets. Bridgewater's not that bad. Let's get that started. He can get it done enough to get the ball to his number one receiver. He might not win the game.
Taysom Hill is going to be the starting quarterback for that team and get more quarterback options.
I have heard that they're talking about playing two quarterbacks, so it looks like they're not too confident, Teddy.
Bridgewater's not he's like the guy you want to root for, right? Bridgewater is like the nicest, most humble gentleman who's just working his ass off after a career-ending injury that didn't end his career. It's the best story, but I mean, he looks rough. He looks rough.
He was rusty.
I almost get to a point where I'd rather have Luke Falk than him.
Whoa! Wait a minute. Whoa.
Yeah, but if you're saying like, how is that? Is that going to mean they're going to lean on Kamara even more?
No, I think.
Carlton hit us like right on the head. Like it's Michael Thomas going to eat. He's the only guy that's going to see receptions from Teddy or Taysom. I think AK is going to get tough with a lot of stacked boxes. And Drew Brees. So I said this yesterday too, and I'll repeat it for anyone who was listening last night on the episode I did. Drew Brees is not just a talented quarterback because of the stats he puts up. He's a talented quarterback because he can draw the safeties back with his eyes. And he can make the safeties do things with his eyes that they don't want to do. And what that then does is puts Alvin Kamara 15 yards away from the nearest defender because he isn't even looking at him. He has no idea Kamara's there, but he knows Kamara's there. So what he does is he looks the defenders off for second after second after second, and then boom, it's Alvin Kamara. And it's as quick as we. You didn't know what happens. Then Alvin Kamara surprised you with his speed, and then once you finally catch up to him, he surprised you with his strength. However, I don't think Teddy or Taysom will be able to do that, thus 86ing his relevancy when it comes to football, which is those screen plays, those dump plays. I don't think he's going to be as successful in that. I think he's still going to get volume, but I don't think that volume is going to get you the top 4 running back status that you drafted him at. If you can try to trade him away right now, I think that might be one of the best things.
Okay, are you taking Aaron Jones over Alvin Kamara?
No.
I mean, you need to, like, if you can trade him away, I mean, like, you need to trade him away for like a couple,
like Mike Evans.
No.
Now we're talking, though. Now we're talking. I don't have the biggest faith in Mike Evans, but that's the kind of player I'm referring to. You're going to need Mike Evans and Devin Singletary kind of thing. You know what I mean?
What about Big Ben's departure injury, and how does that impact Juju Smith? I feel like that changes everything. We've seen Pittsburgh just go down. They don't have Le'Veon Bell anymore that they can rely on. They don't have AB that they can rely on. People that with that like generational talent to just carry a team, even when Big Ben was out. Now it's Mason Rudolph. You got James Conner, who y'all seem way more hype about than I do.
We were just really low on Carson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. I'm not hype on Connor. I'm just really low on Carson.
Yeah.
Because I think, to me, I might even try to trade away Smith-Schuster and James Conner if I can. Not that I even drafted them, to be honest. So, but those two, to me, are top targets to trade away right now, even if you might not get the greatest of value. But if you can snag, sometimes in fantasy, you just got to snag that fan.
Yep.
Like you said about Julian Edelman, if you find that Patriots fan on your team, on your league,
Go buy.
yeah, because it's emotion for them to have Julian Edelman, like the freaking top receiver of this freaking playoff runs and all that type of crap. But sometimes you just gotta make that trade and try to get value from somebody and be a little sneaky about it and not try to get players of equal value in the trade. Try to actually play people's emotions a little bit. Like, I'm trying to get me Dak back on my team. I mean, I want Dak for fantasy purposes, and I'm a huge homer.
Right. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not as low on the impact of the Steelers without Big Ben as some people are. I really have a lot of love for Mason Rudolph. I used to scout him kind of back when he was coming out of the draft. He was one of my favorite quarterbacks. He was, to me, one of the most pro-ready quarterbacks. He was kind of slept on. He's been under the radar for a while. He's not going to be the most, he's not going to have that capability that Big Ben has. He's not going to have that vet presence that he has, but he knows how to get the ball to the playmakers. So I think Juju, he's going to be downgraded from a wide receiver 1 to probably like 2, high end 3. So I wouldn't oppose trading him, right? But I look at somebody like a James Washington, and to me, his value goes to the roof. Even Vance McDonald, I think he looks better with him, and he got 2 touchdowns in the game, I believe. So he's going to lean on the people he's familiar with, which is going to go to James Washington hitting those air targets you talked about. Probably Vance McDonald gets a little upgrade. Juju definitely downgrade. Connor, I mean, I still think he's going to get what he would have got if Big Ben was there.
I want to move back to conversation a little bit to what we talked about earlier on the stream or on the show with Kirk Cousins. I have him projected for 15 fantasy points, even though he's playing a terrible Oakland defense who's been giving up 7th most points to quarterbacks over the first 2 weeks. I don't have any trust in him in week 3, but Nick, what do you think about him moving forward? Do you see him bouncing back, like we said, to have 8 usable weeks, top 10 finishes, or are we seeing that he is just not that guy?
I'm sorry. You talking about Jacoby?
No, Kirk Cousins.
Oh, Kirk Cousins. I don't know what I was listening to. For some reason, I heard you. I don't know what I'm thinking. Anyways,
Jacoby Jones.
Jacoby Jones, man. Oof, what a play he had.
That guy.
Kirk Cousins, man. What?
I'm so pissed at Kirk Cousins.
I'm pissed at Kirk Cousins because I bought it on Stephon Diggs in a couple leagues. Damn it, Kirk. Yeah. Make sure that this works out. I can't.
Case Keenum did a better job with this talent around
him.
And
he's a better job right now with no talent around him.
Preach.
But Kirk Cousins is not going to be like this all year. He's going to find it. He's going to get it together. There's no way that they're going to continue to run the ball as much as they do, where Kirk Cousins throwing the ball 10 times as he did in week 1. Week 2, they fell behind, thus forcing Kirk Cousins into pressure situation against a very good and underrated Packers defense and divisional game on the road. I don't think that this is the Kirk Cousins we're going to see all year. He's going to get favorable matchups. He's not a quarterback that I'm picking up and or starting on a week-to-week basis. But when it comes to bye weeks, when it comes to Superflex, when it comes to DFS on a good matchup, I have no problem with Kirk Cousins. He's still Kirk Cousins, and that means he can play just as long as it's not in a primetime game. If it's a primetime game, don't get it with Kirk Cousins. But if you get him at a 1 o'clock game against the Cowboys or against the Dolphins, against the Bengals, against the Giants, you're gonna want to start him for sure. But no, not someone I'm buying in and starting on a week-to-week basis. And I'd rather have Josh Allen for sure.
He's in fantasy. He's been decent. In fantasy, he's been decent against the Cowboys, even though he tends to lose those games.
You like that?
Yeah.
He won that game.
He did win that one. But tell me this: do you like? Here, this is a question for both of you guys here. I'm looking at that tier of quarterbacks, right? I'm looking at Kirk Cousins, I'm looking at Andy Dalton, and I'll probably put, let's see.
Flacco, Carr.
Yeah, let's put those four right there. Do you feel any trust with any of those four being your QB1?
No.
Any of those four?
Andy Dalton.
I think talk about it, Nick. How are you feeling
Because
about it?
the defense is piss poor. They're going to be throwing the ball all day long. He's got, correct me if I'm wrong, he leads the league in pass attempts after 2 weeks. Kyler maybe might have it, but he's right up there. We see them just throw the ball. AJ Green will come back at some point this year. John Ross is a budding superstar right now. We're seeing what he could have been. He's out of the Marv Lewis era and he's into the Zach Taylor era. We know Tyler Boyd is going to eat.
Thank you.
Joe Mixon can't really run the ball right now. They don't have an offensive line that is scheming to run the ball, and they don't have a game script that's going to run the ball. What does that mean? There's going to be a lot of fucking passes. So get Andy Dalton as a running back one if you're like battling between Cam Newton or if you had Drew Brees or Big Ben and stuff like that.
And like Andy Dalton, though, I'm more excited about his wide receivers and pass catchers than I am about him as a fantasy player. I'm much more excited about Boyd, Ross, AJ coming back, Eifert. I'm much more excited about them than I am about Andy Dalton. Even though he has more points
but
than
if they're all going
right
to
now.
If they're all going to eat, Dalton's got to throw the ball. I don't care if he throws it 60 times, only completes 30. If he's got 350 yards and 2 touchdowns, he's fine with me.
Yeah, I'm definitely going Andy Dalton over somebody like Phillip Rivers or Kyler Murray right now.
Over Phillip Rivers for sure. Probably not over Kyler, to be all honest. I think Kyler's just that we've only seen the tip of the iceberg for that. He's throwing the ball a ton. One of 4 quarterbacks to throw for 300 yards in the first 2 weeks. I don't think we're going to see it slow down. I think this kind of play calling is going to 86 David Johnson. I think he's a guy that you need to be trading away because it's about to be the Kyler Murray, Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald show.
What about somebody? Oh, I'm sorry, Carlton. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, don't forget about Michael Crabtree's coming in there too. They got some.
What do y'all say about Jared Goff? Real quick, let's touch on Goff, and then I'll have 2 players. You will have to decide if they should be put into the Superstar Club, and then we're gonna hit a couple 2 questions before we sign off. So we're talking Jared Goff. Right now, I don't trust him at all. I don't want any piece of him in fantasy. I don't want to start him. I'm almost going everybody above him right now. Even though he has more fantasy points than Aaron Rodgers after 2 weeks, I don't care. I can't start Goff right now. I honestly can't.
Is it a personal thing?
No, it's just fantasy-wise, people thought he was going to be much more than what he is, and I've looking and analyzing his stats. It's not what a fantasy superstar quarterback does when it comes to accuracy, where it comes to targeting. It is a game manager type of quarterback 16-17 finish in fantasy, and I can't get behind just because his team score a lot of points. He is not that talented to where when the team is not doing well, his numbers are not going to carry the team by himself. He needs talent around him, at least for now. I know this has been said about Dak Prescott, I don't know how many times, Dak friendly, but it's true to a certain extent that you have to cater your offense after the quarterback you have until he's ready to carry it for you. Look at Russell Wilson. That defense carried him for a couple of years, and he relied on his running game. All of a sudden, he is one of the most accurate passer in the league, and he can carry that offense on by himself pretty much. I mean, DK Metcalf is nice and Tyler Lockett is nice, but it's not like he has Josh Gordon, Antonio Brown, and Julian Edelman catching passes.
Yeah, Russ never really had that, man. Honestly,
that's what I mean.
He's always he's somebody I've always been high on as far as just he's had it, and when you see it, you know it. Goff is somebody who I think is a game manager who's been pegged and paid as a playmaker, right? I think he has the pieces around him to be successful. He has Sean McVay. I don't think there's a lot of quarterbacks who wouldn't be successful in that system. You have Cooks, you have Woods, you have Kupp, Gurley, obviously. So it's hard to fail in that. But I also think that he leaves a lot to be desired if you're picking him as your QB1, right? He leaves something there when you look at let's say even a Dalton, right, who has similar type of weapons. you know he's going to put up numbers in that system, whether it's playing from behind or not. I just feel like when I look at this Rams offense this year versus last year, I'm not seeing that same explosiveness that I saw. So I'm with you on that. I am down on Goff too as well, especially as a QB1. I'm happy with him as a QB2. Bye week, somebody goes down for a few weeks. I'm loving Goff in there, but I don't know if I could trust him as my only quarterback for a year. I can't do it.
Jared Goff is like playing Pokemon Go right now. Like, you're just too late. Last year was the year. Last year, Goff was going undrafted. He was the Jimmy Garoppolo. He was the Matt Stafford. He was the Josh Allen. Quarterbacks that weren't even being thought of in drafts. And then he became the top 6 quarterback in the NFL. This year, you done missed it. Sorry. You're too late to the party. I know it's good to be late, but you're too late for this one.
Let's do quick yes and no's before we get into the last couple of questions and we sign off. Let's start with you, Carlton. We had Drew Brees and Big Ben sort of leave the superstar club with injuries late in their careers. Dak Prescott, in or out, yes or no? Or I guess in or out, not yes or no. Just in or out.
I gotta go in, man. We're seeing the Cowboys with not a full force of Zeke, and he's carrying the load, and he's showing that he's worth it. So I say pay him, man. I'm with him. He's entering that superstar club. He's getting into that elite echelon. I don't want to get you too excited. Calm down over there.
I'm calm.
He's there now. I give it to him. I'm a big fan. I'm impressed.
I'm calm. It's just we're winning the Super Bowl. That's all. That's
Whoa,
how calm I am.
Hold on, wait. That's not what the question was, right?
That's how Cowboys fans roll. We win one week and we're winning the Super Bowl. We lose one and it's Jason Garrett gotta go.
You know what's funny though? All you Cowboys fans are the same. Like one of my best friends is a Cowboys fan, and he literally would text me the same thing mid game. Oh my God, we're going all the way Super Bowl. Fumble.
Oh yeah, that's
another year. Garrett's got to go. He's the worst. It's his fault. Jones needs to get out of here.
Until
be patient.
Until we score a touchdown, we're the worst team in the world, and then when we score one, it's all the way to the Lombardi.
It's true. Defense does look good though.
Oh yes.
This might be the year, man. You never know.
Dak, in or out, Nick?
I mean, he's not a super. If we're saying superstar, like he's not. Deshaun Watson's more of a superstar. Matt Ryan's more of a superstar. Dak plays on America's team, and that's it. Dak. Once Dak gets rid of after next week, and everyone is literally just. I don't want to get too explicit, but we can imagine what everyone's going to be doing after Dak goes off against Miami, and they're just going to be drooling. They're going to want all of it. But then we're going to get back to reality. Dak's not a superstar. He just has some very good matchups to start the season.
ESPN, suck on that. That's how you do. That's how you do talking head TV.
That's how you do it.
I'm saying in, of course, but I'm a homer. Lamar Jackson, Nick, in or out?
It's too early. Again,
but we have two open spots though. Big Ben got to be out this year. He can't be a superstar.
Well, one spot.
Actually, I'm going to give you three open spots. Are we calling Cam Newton a superstar? Because he is not a superstar anymore.
Was he last year?
I mean, I don't know. Lamar Jackson, we're going to crown him a superstar after 2 games. Like, is he a media like superstar because everyone loves the story and loves the fact, and that's a running back doing what he's doing? Like, yeah, for sure, superstar at that point. But is he a quarterback? Is he Aaron Rodgers? Is he Tom Brady? Is he Patrick Mahomes? No. And we're not gonna get a realization of it in this game because again, Kansas City's defense couldn't stop my grandma throwing a 20-yard pass. But we're gonna see him do really well against the Chiefs, and we're gonna see him fall off, and he's gonna get back into it. He's a very good rusher. There's one thing to always know when it comes to quarterbacks that get more of their points or a majority of their points when it comes to running is it doesn't last. Josh Allen, it doesn't matter who it is right now that's running the ball. Dak Prescott, you're just gonna run into the wrong situation, and you're gonna see injuries that occur. Aaron Rodgers, we've seen injuries occur. He's not the same Aaron Rodgers he was. Cam Newton is not the same Cam Newton he was. Russell Wilson has been kind of escaping it, but I'm just saying, be careful of that. So no, I'm not going to give Lamar Jackson a superstar right now, a status.
Carlton, quick, in or out?
He's in. There's only one Aaron Rodgers. There's only one Tom Brady. There's only one Lamar Jackson.
Ooh.
This guy, I'm telling you right now, he's a generational talent. You're sleeping on him a little bit here, man. This guy has been successful wherever he's been. College, we got Heisman Trophy winner. We got a guy who's put up 5,000 yards, passing and running. We've got a guy who came in his rookie year and lost, 2 games, I think, maybe? And those were against 2 of the better teams that year.
Yeah.
Was it 8-2? He's coming in right now, undefeated, putting up ridiculous numbers, looking like an MVP. It's time to wake up to Lamar. He's not just a runner. This guy's shown, passing-wise, he's got 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's looking phenomenal. He's given the Ravens new life. I mean, they're looking like the Chiefs of the AFC North, and
Ooh.
that might be high praise.
Yeah.
But when I say exciting, I'm talking about high power, and it starts with Lamar. If the Ravens are on TV, I actually want to watch them. Not Flacco and Ingram, but I want to see Lamar now. So when I look at superstar, that's what I see. Somebody who's going to put butts in seats, and he's going to do it.
And for the record, for anyone listening, I hope Carlton's the most right person in the world right now. I'm rooting for Lamar more than anything. He was overlooked when it came to the draft.
Oh, I loved it.
It was just like the story's perfect for him. He's elite. We saw it when it came to college and what we've seen out of him in the NFL. I just think it's too early for the superstar status.
I get it. I love the not bad for a running back line, though. That line is a superstar line right there. When he said, that's my guy.
My favorite was when they announced that he got the perfect quarterback rating in the huddle, and he's,
right? I love it. And Vic's passed the torch to him already, too. I mean, not personal things aside, I'm a big fan of this guy. So, yeah, that's my take.
So we have this old question from Agent before we head off. I'm going to answer these pretty quick. With Tariq Cohen and Duke Johnson, I got let's see what he said. Sorry, I always get it's standard, and if you can do week 3 and rest of season. So in standard, I have for week 3, I have Duke Johnson ahead of Tariq Cohen, and for rest of season, I would actually prefer Tariq Cohen. Objections?
No, I'm with that. I'm actually Cohen the rest of the season. I think Trubisky will get it together, and I think the Bears will settle down a little bit. Duke Johnson for sure right now.
I'm taking Tariq Cohen for the rest of the year, and I can't remember who the Texans play, the Chargers. So I'll probably take Tariq Cohen this week and for the rest of the year. Carlos Hyde, he made an imprint in Houston. Duke Johnson.
Hyde's looking good.
I was impressed.
He's looking
and then
hungry.
Cousins or Mason Rudolph?
To start, Cousins. To keep all year, Cousins.
Yeah. I can't make
I'm actually going to go Cousins to start and Rudolph for the rest of the year.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah.
People are sleeping on Rudolph. I got no problem.
I'm a Rudolph guy. I might get a Rudolph jersey, number 2, black and yellow next time. You never know.
It's my favorite number 2.
I'm telling you. Jamarcus.
Thank you all so much for joining us here today. This has been fantastic. This is the Fantasy Rabbit Hole. Be sure to check us out again next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesdays here on the YouTube channel for episode 3. We haven't decided on a topic, but we have some new things lined up for this year. Don't forget the score projection and risk analysis tomorrow on csdfantasy.com, and the Kenny Galladay versus Chris Godwin on the YouTube channel this weekend. The live stream, 12 p.m. Eastern Time here on YouTube channel with Star Search questions as always. Guys, it's been a pleasure, if it's ever been a pleasure.
Yes, it was phenomenal.
That makes sense, but yeah, it has been a pleasure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a catchphrase to get this off the air.
I think that one was a swing and a miss. But,
yeah, no, definitely. I'll workshop that. We're still early on in the show, so that's no problem. I just edit that part out.
Real quick, before we end, the last word that was said before the outro was Jamarcus.
Jamarcus. Can we make that a thing? Oh. I think that's my sign-off from now on.
Jamarcus.
All right, guys. Jamarcus.
Uncomebackable.
Uncomebackable, baby.
Uncomebackable. We had a lot of
Follow me at Nick Favorite NFL for more words like uncomebackable.
That's the one. It's the one.
Thank you all so much for joining us here, and I'll see you again next week.
See you guys.